In the heart of Europe lies a city where diamonds glitter not just in storefronts, but in the very air of its narrow streets. Antwerp, Belgium, home to the world's most prestigious diamond district, handles over 80% of the world's rough diamonds and more than 50% of its cut diamonds. Billions pass through the hands of merchants, dealers, and investors here each year. The vaults beneath the Antwerp Diamond Center are considered some of the most secure in the world, locked away behind layers of high-tech defenses and decades of tradition. It was supposed to be unbreakable, but in February 2003, the impossible happened. When security opened the vault after a long holiday weekend, they were met not with shimmering treasures but with emptiness. Over 100 of the 160 deposit boxes had been emptied with surgical precision. Diamonds, gold, cash, and precious stones, estimated to be worth over $100 million, were gone. No alarms had been triggered, no doors were forced open, no cameras had caught the culprits. The job was so clean and brilliantly executed that law enforcement officers stood in stunned disbelief. Who could have orchestrated something so audacious, so flawless? How had they bypassed all the surveillance, the vault's 18-inch thick steel door, the security patrols? This was no ordinary robbery. This was a masterpiece of criminal engineering, a story of patience, preparation, betrayal, and the kind of genius you'd expect in a Hollywood thriller. And at the center of it all was one man, a slick-talking, well-dressed Italian posing as a diamond merchant. His name, Leonardo Notarbartolo. The heist in summary. The Antwerp Diamond Heist is often referred to as the heist of the century, and with good reason. It wasn't just the staggering amount stolen, though the estimates vary between $100 million and $400 million, depending on whom you ask. It was the way it was done. No violence, no trace, no gunshots, broken windows, or forced alarms. The entire operation took place in the dead of night during the Valentine's Day weekend of 2003. When the building reopened on Monday, everything appeared normal until they opened the vault. Here's what made the job legendary. 10 layers of security were bypassed, including infrared heat detectors, Doppler radar, seismic sensors, magnetic locks, and even a private security force. The vault door itself was never tampered with. The thieves accessed over 100 safety deposit boxes, only opening those they believed to contain high-value goods. There was no trace of forced entry, leading many to believe it was an inside job, or that the criminals were simply that good. The operation required expert-level knowledge of electronics, mechanics, stealth, and psychology. This wasn't a random team. It was a crew of specialists who executed a plan that took years to develop and mere hours to complete. And yet, as careful as they were, one mistake brought it all crumbling down. Planning and preparation. The seeds of the Antwerp Diamond Heist were planted long before the crime ever took place. The brains behind the job, Leonardo Notarbartolo, was already a seasoned thief. Charming, calculating, and charismatic, he was also deeply connected to the Italian mafia, particularly a group based in Turin known as La Scuola di Torino, the School of Turin. These weren't street thugs, they were professionals, artists in their field, and Antwerp was their masterpiece in the making. Step 1. Infiltration. 2 years before the heist, Notarbartolo rented office space in the Diamond Center itself. He posed as a diamond trader, establishing credibility, attending meetings, and walking the halls alongside real merchants. With a security badge in hand, he gained daily access to the building, observing guards, timing patrols, learning the layout, and, most importantly, studying the vault. He concealed a tiny camera inside a pen, which he used to film the vault's locking mechanism during casual visits. The footage was smuggled out and analyzed frame by frame. Every detail mattered: the rotation of the dial, the placement of the locks, the security patterns. Step 2. Building the team. Notarbartolo assembled a crew of elite specialists: the genius, an electronics wizard who neutralized alarms and rewired circuits; the king of keys, a mechanical expert who crafted a duplicate of the vault's custom key from scratch; the monster, a tall, athletic member who could maneuver in tight spaces and bypass physical obstacles like a contortionist; Speedy, the getaway driver and errand runner who proved to be the group's weakest link. Together, they built a replica of the Diamond Center vault off-site practicing for months. They rehearsed disabling motion detectors, creating fake magnetic fields, and even spraying hairspray to temporarily blind infrared sensors. Nothing was left to chance. Every second was choreographed. The night of the heist, Saturday, February 15th, 2003. The Diamond Center had closed for the Valentine's Day weekend. The guards were gone. The city was asleep. Dressed in gloves and black clothing, the team entered the building through a rear entrance, using Leonardo's credentials. Surveillance cameras had already been covered in black plastic bags days earlier, disguised as harmless renovation materials. They descended the stairs to the basement. Each security feature had a planned countermeasure. Magnetic sensors, neutralized using a custom aluminum plate. Infrared detectors, temporarily blinded with hairspray, which created a thin film over the lens. Motion sensors, dodged by moving slowly, precisely like shadows. Then came the vault. This was the heart of the mission. The vault door, nearly 1.5 feet thick, was sealed, but that didn't matter. They never opened it. Instead, they found a maintenance shaft behind a false wall. Crawling through the dark, narrow space, they reached the vault from behind and dismantled the locking mechanisms. The King of Keys used his handcrafted duplicate to slip the final lock open. Inside, they worked quickly but carefully. They selected only high-value boxes based on weight and dealer labels, filling duffel bags with diamonds, untraceable currency, antique jewelry, and gold bars. By the early hours of Sunday morning, they were gone, leaving the vault sealed, the alarms off, and the world none the wiser. Escape and aftermath. The plan was perfect. Their exit was smooth. They returned to a hideout in the countryside, where they began burning clothes, wiping down tools, and preparing to disappear. But then, Speedy panicked. Fearing police might be onto them, he dumped a bag full of trash, food wrappers, gloves, surveillance photos, even the vault model, in a nearby forest. He thought the woods would swallow the evidence. They didn't. A local farmer found the garbage and turned it over to police. DNA tests and receipts led them straight to Notarbartolo and eventually to the rest of the crew. The arrests. In 2005, Notarbartolo was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison. He maintained that he was merely a middleman, claiming the real brains behind the operation were high-level diamond traders trying to commit insurance fraud. He insisted the value stolen was no more than $20 million, and that much of the story had been inflated to hide internal theft. Most of the stolen goods were never recovered. Some suspect the crew stashed them across Europe. Others believe diamonds were recut and sold back into the very market from which they were stolen, hiding in plain sight. More than 2 decades have passed since that cold February night, but the Antwerp Diamond Heist remains one of the most captivating crimes in modern history. It was elegant, it was silent, and it was terrifying in its precision. The world had built a vault it believed to be uncrackable. But as it turns out, the real threat didn't come from brute force or high explosives. It came from patience, intellect, and obsession. From men who thought like engineers, moved like ghosts, and struck like lightning. To this day, the diamonds are missing. The full team was never identified. And Leonardo Notarbartolo, now a free man, refuses to say what happened that night. Did he tell the truth? Or is he still protecting the rest of the crew? We may never know, but somewhere, tucked away in a quiet drawer or glittering in someone's ring, are the stolen stones of Antwerp, a silent legacy of the perfect heist. For more incredible true crime stories, thrilling heists, and behind-the-scenes breakdowns of the world's boldest criminal minds, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Because some crimes don't just make headlines, they make history.